Now, crystalline codes manualize meaning through gold dust, or representation particles of angel feathers. Why people have seen them throughout the ages in churches, especially pastors, who have had huge amounts of particles of gold all over their hands, like they were being blessed from God itself, or they have seen angel feathers here. There are reasons why. It's much deeper than that. When you have gold dust around you, it's not common. I've dealt with it myself. I have seen feathers. I've been in churches. I have seen gold dust. I have seen spirits around people and other beings as well, motivating through that. From higher genetics and opening up scenes of effect, show the plateau through the divine accuracy of humans. Once they are pulled into that higher spectrum, they are given these gifts.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 26. Blue, how are you?
I'm good today, Mike.
Hey, what are we going to talk about today in a big episode 26?
One of the things we will be discussing about is the hidden Vatican libraries underneath the grounds itself, underneath the Matrix, and dealing with the facilities of pronouns between divine and paranormal accounts and documentations that they hold on to. Reasons for certain things that humans don't understand, that prolonging Vatican, Pope, and others have hidden behind the scenes throughout the ages.
Wow, that's scary stuff. We touched on this briefly in 25. I'm excited for our big episode 26 today. Hey, before we get started, though, please go ahead and like, subscribe, click on notifications as well, so you're notified when we post new material here. Blue, let's jump right into it. I want to get going here. Let's get right into these hidden libraries.
Well, one of the main things that would have been fortified on top, but people don't understand, is the indexing of the archives itself. Now, Vaticans have secret archives that are indexed, or nothing in them is indexed. So nothing in them is pronounced into an informational relay score that most others don't understand yet, because they have hidden that frequency outlet. It also up to and includes etched into the floor of one of their preliminary skills on top is the Sirocco, Hustro, and I believe Tronata, and there are coin-sized markings that are etched. And they pronounce March 21st every year, a rosa on the spring equinox itself. Now, why would people already know about this and be able to outer align of certain articulate areas, or how they're digitalized through it? Being able to mark out the distribution scenes of and mapping itself on the calendars. One of the outer lining relay codes that they have for the calendars, for documentations, and being able to know what times of the year and how they were affected was given to them from higher beings throughout the ages and throughout those timelines itself. They were also able to mark out certain trajectory points in between dimensions when stuff like this happens.
It kind of sounds like history repeats itself, because if you look at what's going on in the world today, you know, we hear about secret things that have been happening behind the scenes, whether it be in our government or on a world stage. And then we hear about investigations or things that are looking into these things. And then when we do get information, it's all redacted, it's all retracted, it's all classified or whatever. So it's scary that the Vatican could be holding something like this for so long. I've heard these theories before, and everybody wants to call them a conspiracy theory. I think when enough people talk about it, I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure when the talking about it reaches a certain barometer and it becomes almost common knowledge, where I can sit here and without even questioning my sanity for 1 second, I can go, oh yeah, that's real. Yeah, I believe that. Now, I'm not saying you can tell a lie 100 times and on the 100th time it'll be true or it'll be perceived as true. What I'm pointing out is this has been going on forever, for a long time. And the fact that the Vatican is hiding this would simply just tell you that it's in their own best interests. That's what we're saying here, right? This is only being hidden because it's in the Vatican's own best interest.
Well, and the fact that humans, a lot of them are already into their own programming speeds. So you're mixing in the paranormal and the normal itself and certain divine acquisitions that, because of the substanding timelines and the fortification speeds of the doctrine planet itself, through those timelines, humans are pretty much not set aware into that processing speed. But there have been conjunctures in this timeline itself, or timelines, that rehabilitate and bring back in a higher awareness, especially to that certain betrayal speed itself, that designated time. Now, when it comes to the underground facilities, and they create and maintain tunnels that have a lot of old doctrine books, some of these books held from giants itself. Now, giants or Goliaths or older types of beings of humanoid statistics have lived upon this planet too, and still do in certain designated areas. Goliaths are a type of higher humanoid status code. And those types of Goliaths actually held in written books in the past timelines, and the in-between that they had held through the Vatican's libraries itself. Huge books, as well as other items that were not seen, even from museums. It includes mummification processing scenes. It includes astronomical equations. It includes the divine and the paranormal events. The libraries don't just hold the books. They also hold a lot more different aspects, including technologies itself. The Pope has gone through many times in and out, and has certain access to these points of effects that most others are not permitted by. That included Mount Olympus, that included going into certain areas. That's why I hinted Mount Olympus has a tunnelized system as well that could secretly in tune to certain Vatican betrayal speeds or documentation codes.
I've often heard when I was growing up, one of the key phrases or things that I knew was knowledge is power. I mean, if you have the knowledge, you have the power. If you hide that knowledge from other people, I would think that would make you more powerful at that point. So it really bothers me and it makes me wonder where we might be as a civilization, where we might be as a people, where we might be as a planet if we just had access to these things. But we've also learned here by talking about what's going on in the world that we can't just unload a bunch of information on everybody all at one time. You got to kind of drip it out. Otherwise, people's heads will explode. But I think it's about time we start to learn something about what the Vatican's holding back here. And the reason why I'm so steadfast on this, and I love that you brought this up today, is simply because if you look back, when there's been great disasters, like in Greece, the big fires or what have you, we've lost entire libraries of information from thousands of years of information and things that could potentially progress us. Again, I can't understate how vital that is. And you really wonder where we would be. I was looking at something just the other day online, so it must be true. It was online. And it had indicated that they, even to index all those books that they're holding back, you're not allowed to do that. So there's not a lot. There's no like card catalog for what's in this. So we don't even know a lot of the information that's being held back. Is the scary part. Is there anything we can do as a people, as a mankind, as a planet, as a government, or anything that you think can change this and have disclosure on this end?
Well, it all goes in the in-depth proceedings of effect of being able to manualize and getting the documentation outwards that we're hidden. There are certain anonymous people and other beings of effect that can analyze this and set this outwards. Once information is set outwards from certain documentations, it's pretty much exposed, and they can't do nothing about it. They can't debunk it or anything. It's being pronounced. Certain formalization codes maybe need to re-replicate that process of event and maintain a higher score so humanity is able to have a wider access of knowledge.
Crazy. It's a crazy world we're living in, and hopefully we will get somewhere with this. I know we want to talk about sea nomads again today. Tell me about sea nomads.
Well, sea nomads are actually a tribe of humans, tribe of people from Thailand itself, and their higher elevation codes have to deal with the aquatic levels. They're more uptuned into their aquatic eye levels than most humans are. By sequencing alpha database feeds that go into the neuropathy waves and in tune into the higher data streams, that when you look into water and you have your eyes open, most humans can see only blurry images. They cannot fortify in a very clear node of effect. Because the Moken tribe were able to, throughout many generations, to achieve perfect vision and stability underwater, they're able to re-replicate their processing speeds just like dolphins and certain other aquatics could. They are maintaining that stability, and they're pretty much, they've learned from that. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, dolphins had a lot to do with the Atlantis societies. They're higher individualized beings that have worked alongside mermaids. So for the Moken tribe and other tribes to alleviate their processing speeds and be able to learn from these beings have formulative codes from trans high hyperhumanism statistics in between. This ability is not impossible. For every human, just like the Moken tribe, they were able to possess a certain genetic formulation between their eye pupils itself and be able to rehabilitate that data stream. And another thing is human tears, and the way that it brings out salty water type of deal is only because humans are already aquatic. That's why they're able to hold their noses like they can underwater, like with it open, without drowning, their ears, their eyes, maintaining that their higher calibrated scores can be reprocessed. So, human's eyes, the molecules in it, when you're crying, it brings out these generated tears. Part aquatic. We have gone through that for many timelines. In a way, Sasquatch and mermaids are kind of like cousins to mankind because they do have similar genetics, but they're not. So in a way, humans have kind of worked alongside aquatics like mermaids in the past and have obtained certain receptacle nodes upon their own being. Not many know that you're a part aquatic. Not many know that you can be able to deal with things underwater like most mammals can't. Other animals will drown if they try to deal with that.
Well, it's crazy because you look at, we've talked in the past about the superheroes, we've talked about Thor with a connection to another being in another time, another place. Now you can talk about Aquaman in this regard. Here's a creature that we see as a man, but he has those aquatic capabilities and he can even talk to other aquatics and so forth. And it's very empowering to see these things again, it's the drip, drip, drip. It's easy for me to explain this now because I can go, oh yeah, well, we have Aquaman. This is kind of what we're talking about here. And it's easier. That goes with that drip, drip, drip. I think that helps get things out when we can break it down to the silly. And that's how you're going to get your message out, because not everybody's going to be, I hate to say it, not everybody's going to be smart enough to pick up or be on the uptake on stuff sometimes. I mean, sometimes I have to be hit in the face with a shovel more than 10 times before I tell you to stop. I'm just teasing. Anyway, I think it's a good thing that we can drip these things out here. My whole thing is, can we evolve as a people to enhance that? Could we take scientifically, could we take 10 people and somehow adjust their eyes to that level where they can see underwater all the time?
Well, they do it with a unique way. They restrict their pupils, and pretty much they outlining a generative way to seal to that ability. So there's a certain way they're doing it, just like dolphins and seals would. And using the extra fortifying speed, they're able to reprocess that.
We've talked about pollution and so forth in the ocean before, but this has got to make things like that go wacky. If if the water's dirty, it's dirty. You can't see through dirt, I don't think. So I would think that our encroachment on, 70% of the earth is water. I think our encroachment as a mankind and polluting these waters, some places they dump sewage right in the ocean. It's incredible to me that that's still allowed to go on. Supposedly there's an island of plastic out in the Pacific. It's amazing to me that these creatures can even survive today. Are we in danger, you think, of losing any connection or any ability with maybe what may be under the water, an unidentified aquatic species, whether it's related to Atlantis or what have you now? Maybe they're just hiding and then they come out. Are we in danger of killing off those beings, you think?
Well, humans right now are in high danger of chemicalized items in the water, especially with the current administration, what they're wanting to do or thinking about. The Moken tribe now are recently in danger themselves, because their only fortifying speeds to eating is through these creatures that they fish for. And that's how they do it. They go underwater, they swim, they use their eyes. But now they're in danger because of the pollutants, like you had stated. There's getting to be too many pollutants here, and there's getting to be too much of the species dying off because of that. And we are not creating or co-creating a good substructure outlet when we deal with that. We're taking away the rights of the peoples here that already know how to co-op and deal with things and do it on a better generative wavelength. And we're taking away the creatures are motivating themselves in the planet. This just goes to an awakening call to humankind. Maybe take a step back and learn from your own processing speeds, because other people and the planet itself is hurting.
My thing here is, I had remembered talking about something like this before. Do you think Musk with that Neuralink, do you think that would have anything to do with advancing somebody's eyesight? Or do you think that could somehow trigger or enable somebody to have those type abilities so we can see underwater?
Well, just like I said, through DNA formational codes and regrading processing streams, as well as Neuralink upgrades, maintaining that the DNA itself is polarized to an exceptional code. When DNA is added onto effect, as well as reprocessing the unitized mainframe into the digitalized hologram, it will make and fortifying the speeds better. We got to think about the quantum medical beds. Once that's polarized into effect, it helps bring in and intake a lot of extra senses that were locked away as well. Yes, there could be technologies that can put into a scene of event for this, but it also depends on how these play out and where they're going to go next.
How do crystalline codes play into this at all?
Well, no, that just goes more or less of ancient divine protocols in churches. Now, crystalline codes manualize meaning through gold dust, or representation particles of angel feathers. Why people have seen them throughout the ages in churches, especially pastors, who have had huge amounts of particles of gold all over their hands, like they were being blessed from God itself, or they have seen angel feathers here. There are reasons why. It's much deeper than that. When you have gold dust around you, it's not common. I've dealt with it myself. I have seen feathers. I've been in churches. I have seen gold dust. I have seen spirits around people and other beings as well, motivating through that. From higher genetics and opening up scenes of effect, though the plateau through the divine accuracy of humans, once they are pulled into that higher spectrum, they are given these gifts. They are gifted these actuation lines that move them and motivate them so they can heal or process healing, just like pastors, in other words. They ended up with some type of healing elevation waves. And they say it's from God, not them. Quite the contrary, it is to them from the sources of the heavens itself. They are gifted certain activation points, especially those that have particleized dust on them. There are divine beings, angelic higher beings that manualize in between the in-betweens, the aethers. And the foundations, they are protectors. They are very much real, but they're more fundamentally in the higher tones of events.
You had sent me something here pre-show about the color of feathers. The color of feathers, that plays into this how?
There are different colors that have been seen in churches. Black feathers normally regenerate through negative beings that could signalize through coding effects that you don't want to be around, and you might want to put a profound effect through a higher elevation stream. There are others like red, orange, and white, and green. They designate from the signalizing codes that go through what one can understand as well, what that flow and that manifestation is held with. White feathers normally are a divine calling code. They're white atrophet. They deal with the clear-coded elevation ways as well as the maintainment of the highest protection. Them and blue feathers. But other colors are rarely seen. It is mainly the white ones. But when they do see other colors, it usually means as a generative effect on a neural standard or subatomic standard wave, that there are divine colorations of higher beings around them.
Well, I can tell you, if you do come into contact with any gold dust anytime soon, just put it in an envelope and send it to me. I'll take it, okay?
Normally when people resonate with that, they're aligning into the divine protocols in churches, other places.
That's amazing.
Mainly, people don't realize that it is reality. You look it up online about gold dust particles and pastors and stuff and healing.
Crazy.
This is all part of the paranormal accounts too. The divine parts of reality are real. It's just not exactly what they would state in the Bible itself, but it is very much real.
Crazy. I like how you brought that right back around to what we were talking about in our first topic here. That's awesome. We're living in a tough time right now, and everybody knows it. We wanted to talk a little bit today about the Biden administration. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, since he wants to recently put something outwards that want to block the sun itself, and we don't know, he might have done it as a disrespect protocol. Hey, there is higher elemental problems going on upon the planet. We'll just block the sun. That will help it better. Does it really help it better? It doesn't. Why? Because it's going to cause problems. You're taking away the elemental waves. It's going to cause problems on the planet. It's going to self-induce the polarity scores. The humans need vitamin D as well as other activation points here. There are better ways to document outwards to elevating the heat substructures with the cool substructures on the planet than just doing that, or creating a higher elemental effect that would block out the generative wavelengths of the sun. It is no common sense whatsoever.
You know, it's amazing to me because isn't the big push with the green new steel, the green new money grab, isn't it solar? Everything's got to be solar. You must have solar, and we got to have wind and all. How much solar are we going to have if you try to block the sun? That's like trying to stop. That's like entering a race, but just before the race starts, you cut your foot off. I mean, it makes no sense. I don't understand that. One other quick point on it, on a humorous note, if you look at The Simpsons, they've predicted this years ago that somebody would try to block out the sun. You follow The Simpsons, there's a bunch of things. They predicted Trump. They predicted FIFA arrest. They predicted Higgs boson, Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl, Disney buying Fox. I can tell you there's a bunch of them. And it sounds silly, but they tried in one episode, Mr. I don't know, the old guy's name. He developed this way to block out the sun. And I guess that's part of what we talked about before. Knowledge is power and power is knowledge. And I guess if you could block out the sun, you're controlling everyone. I mean, what is this a passing thing? They're off this already, or they're going to stay on that message, you think?
Well, if they try to do that, and it's already going into this proposal, and I've warned out to mankind that a certain law was activated for the roads here on the state of Florida. They're putting that chemicalized stuff into the tar itself to the roads, so it's causing problems, nuclear items in it. It's similar to that. I mean, come on. You're going to add something, what? It's cheap on the roads. It's a better way, maybe. Well, it might be cheap in the air or a better way if they think it, but is it really a better way? And it's just causing more problems. They need to find and finalize certain activation scenes around these and not cause so many problems upon the plateau itself. There's no sense when it comes to this. None.
Wow. Amazing stuff here. Hey, you know what time it is? It's time for the ET of the week.
Buzz, look, an alien! Where?
Warning! Alien approaching! Warning! Biophysical experiments extremely dangerous for Earth people.
It's a pretty good robot. He's a little bit of an alien, too. But I think he's an alien. You could be an alien.
And what we will be discussing is air loop, neutral symmetry nodes, archonic symmetry, and tuned with the ancient genetics, and gray spectrum over placement and higher efficiency. A hierarchy and retribution to the eternal dimensions they place, silver gray in stature, and bald, smooth skin. These stability codes also in tune with the processing speeds of their hierarchy, being leaders and symbolizing to the tones of events ranging from 5'9" to 6 foot, no muscles, thin, and they have a higher psychic in-tune balancing stream, or more up-tuned to processing than others digitally.
Wow. You know, it's amazing that there's so many. I know we could probably do a bunch of weeks, and we're gonna keep doing them till we run out. How about that? Interesting stuff on the ET of the week. Is there anything you'd like to share from your position with the Space Force and the Federation?
Yeah, with this heat going on upon the planet, they are channeling so much on four-wish dreams, and it's ridiculous. This is control of the heart. Control of now that they are putting in so much heat, especially here in the state of Florida. We're surrounding the eastern coast, the borders across the certain areas in the country. You know, a lot of it had to do with the Canada fires, which were analyzed and self-analyzed, maintained they did it on purpose. All it's going to cause is a subatomic negative ion level. Maybe read the finding and calibration scores of the fact that the force can motivate the actuation tones upon the realm better, so the calibrations and the cooler effects are being maintained here. Stabilizing, otherwise you're going to deal with a really hot summer here.
Understood. Absolutely. It is warm. It is very warm. But I'm confident that we'll get back on track here. We'll get some rain, I'm sure, here. Hey, how about a final word for today, Blue?
Yep. Keep up the good work. To those that are dealing with negative streams of events, motivate yourself around it. And with this deep state and the way that they are knocking things off stream, enough is enough. You're going to have to stop. We are not dealing with communication knockoff events, as well as those like yourself, Mike, and others that have dealt with this. We need to maintain the higher calibration codes of mankind, move what needs to be moved into the right frequency flow, and get rid of what these beings are causing here. How can we maintain stability otherwise? Remember, if you really want to bring yourselves together and have a freedomized planet with the right lawful standards, Republicans and Democrats got to get their acts in gear and join on an elevated speed and funding a federation in an act of a divine betrayal cost. We cannot do anything otherwise. We are all looking ridiculous here, standing with our thumbs up our butts. I'm sorry. You got to make it happen. We all got to motivate this. Otherwise, we're going to keep flowing backwards.
Wow. Strong stuff there. Wow. And we're out of time already. This has been wonderful. Hey, before we go, I want to thank everybody again for tuning in, listening, and watching. Go ahead and click subscribe and click the notification so you know when we post new material. And if we're not on a platform where you get your stuff, video or audio, let us know and we'll do our best there. Blue, 26 in the books here. Wonderful stuff. I look forward to 27.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.